This is Jets at Noon on 680 CJOB.
And good afternoon. It's Kelly Moore in Grandma's high back chair. And look who I am joined by for today and tomorrow.
Special.
What did I do to deserve this honor, Ross the Boss Levitan?
Well, Jim Toth has kept this seat warm long enough. I think he deserved a little vacation. So
Who are we going to pick on now?
Probably me by the end of the show.
No, you'll be picking on me.
No, it's always a pleasure to chat with you, Kelly. And look, people will say August, dog days of hockey season. Mm-hmm. 1 month till they're on the ice. That's how I see it. The countdown is on.
Yeah, and it really is, because with the earlier start to training camp and then the ultra-quick preseason, the regular season is going to be here before you even know it, as we welcome you to Jets at Noon from the Boston Pizza Studio for gourmet pizza and pasta. Bring the team to Boston Pizza. And, of course, later on in the show, we are going to be selecting the text of the day for a VIP GC from Wash Method Car Wash. You'll find them at 690 St. Anne's Road and at washmethod.com. Do you buy Toth's idea that you can go to Wash Method for romance, too?
I believe it. They've got everything there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, one of those guys. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Great sponsors, and we certainly thank all the gang at Wash Method. Well, we're going to do this on a once-per-week basis as we lead up to the start of September, and then, it just gets a little more crisp in the air, and all of a sudden the players are starting to filter back in from their summer homes. We're going to look ahead at each division, and we might as well start with the division that the Winnipeg Jets are part of, and that is the Central Division. As we know it, on Tuesday, August the 4th, just a little after 12 o'clock noon Central Time.
Everything can change with a phone call.
It certainly can. Well, and as we found out a phone call saying, nah, I'm going to pass on that, as Jason Robertson did with the Seattle Kraken.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about betting on yourself.
No kidding. Wow. So is it status quo in your mind, Ross, as far as those top 4 positions are concerned?
Yeah, I mean, the top 3 are so good. And Minnesota now has the second best odds to win the division, even though they finished third slightly behind Dallas. What a first-round matchup that was last year. Those two GMs had to be so upset that they had to go head-to-head that quickly. But when you look at it, Colorado, and they made some moves. Like, for a team that won the President's Trophy, they were dealing. And it was Joe Sakic calling up his old friend McFarland saying, hey, you're in Nashville. We could use a couple of your guys. You want to have some of ours? Yeah. I think they made 3 separate moves.
A lot of that was salary cap related,
though. For sure. But they did get a couple players that I'm a fan of, including Fedor Svechkov, who, I mean, these aren't needle movers to win the division, but the depth is what's going to separate these teams where it's such a hair between them all. So, yeah, Colorado, for me, elite.
Yeah, I wonder about that third line for Colorado. I think, with the trading of Ross Colton, with Val Nichushkin in particular, that has taken away a little bit from that formidable depth that they had, and we certainly saw it in the playoffs. If Cale Makar was hurt and Nathan McKinnon was being bottled up, all of a sudden Colorado looked and felt like a different team. And I wonder, Ross, that third line now, no disrespect to Parker Kelly and Nicholas Waugh, but Nazem Kadri, certainly is one of the better third-line setters in the Central Division. But are the Avalanche as methodical, as persistent, as just keep on coming at you with this lineup in its current iteration as they were a year ago?
Yeah, it's a really fair question. I mean, obviously, Nathan McKinnon's going to carry the mail offensively and be among the NHL's leader, if not the leader. I felt like maybe got robbed of the Hart Trophy this year. Kucherov was unbelievable, but
it's
McKinnon
just a spread between Kucherov and everybody else on Tampa Bay, though. That it was hard to overlook that.
Definitely. Yeah. And there was a stretch in the middle of the season where they pulled away where he was like 3 points a game. Yeah. But yeah, Nathan McKinnon's great. Now, the thing is, and they did this a bit last year. Like, I agree with you. In a perfect world, you go McKinnon, Nelson, and Kadri down the middle. But Kadri can play a little wing, too.
Yes, he can.
And then you've got Nicola Waugh who can slot in as your 3 seed.
Yes.
The real bet they're making, and I guess this is what's going to decide how good that bottom six is, they're betting on a bounce back from Jaden Schwartz, who they got from Seattle. They plucked him out of a bad situation, only 26 points last year, but he won the cup with St. Louis in 2019. Now, I mean, that's getting further and further away, and he's not the same player he was then. But if he could get you 45, 50 points, like, I don't think that's out of the question. I don't think it's likely, but I don't think it's out of the question. And the other one is Gabe Landeskog. Like, you just don't know with the injuries he's been through, but when he's on, like, he makes that team so deep.
Yeah, and that for me, again, is another question mark for the Colorado Avalanche. Jaden Schwartz and Gabriel Landeskog, which version of him you're going to get. Brock Nelson's not getting any younger as well. You know, he's going to be 35 by the time the season is over.
He just scores goals, though.
Yeah.
33 more last year.
But will he be able to score those same number of goals if Landeskog is maybe looking to find himself, and if Jaden Schwartz, the change of venue, does not have the desired effect? So there's some question marks there, as opposed to the certainty that I thought existed a year ago.
That's a really good point. I would point then to their goaltending. They've got two guys that could be starters on most teams in the league.
Blackwood and Wedgwood.
Wedgwood just stepped up in such a big way when Blackwood wasn't at his best last year and really carried the mail for them. I really like Brett Kulak. They got him in the middle of last season, and they moved on from an undersized guy in Sam Girard, who had his time, but they've already got those guys. Malinsky's unbelievable.
I really like him, boy. He is a diamond in the rough for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so if Colorado still is going to be number one, does that make Dallas, Minnesota, or the Utah Mammoth number two?
So Utah was one of my favorite teams to watch last year. If I was just sitting down, no rooting interest.
Pure speed and talent,
So much talent. And the Mackenzie Weegar addition is a long-term piece there. He's just such a shooter from the back end that he can give those. They've obviously got speed and skill, but then you look at a Lawson Krause, guys who can get down into the crease and make really, really smart decisions and good plays. I love what they're building in Utah. Now, moving on from Peterka, that felt like a mulligan. Didn't really work out for them. They got him the summer before, and Josh Doan, you look back, maybe he would have been unbelievable on this team too. But Dylan Genther, to me, is a guy that can pop. He could be in the Rocket Richard Trophy race this season. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And they've got depth too. Like Anders Lee, nice pickup. He's not going to blow the door off anymore, but he's a great leader to add to that young nucleus. I'm not talking myself into them being ahead of Dallas or Minnesota. They'll have to show it yet, but they are a team that for me is like just starting the ascent to what could be a long run of dominance within their division. But to answer your question that I've been avoiding because it's such a hard one to answer, I like Minnesota more. And I say that kind of struggling because their center depth is not great. Like, it's not even close to Dallas's when you look what they have. They got Matt Duchene playing the wing half the time. Tyler Seguin's a full-time winger now, but he could play in a pinch down the middle.
When he does play.
Exactly. That's another question mark. But, like, would you rather that question mark or Daniil Yurov being your number one center? And I know that Eriksson Ek is better than him, but he's going to be your matchup guy. He's going to be the guy.
Yeah, I think the one thing that brings Minnesota back to that pack after Colorado and Dallas is the fact that they have not been able to get that number one center. And I think if there's an advantage that the Winnipeg Jets have over the Minnesota Wild, they do have a number one center.
Just because you mentioned off the top, everything could change in a phone call, watch them get Dylan Larkin by the end of today. There would be no better fit for Dylan Larkin than this Minnesota Wild team.
But what is Minnesota going to have to give up, though? They don't have a lot prospect-wise.
No. Vancouver has them all now.
Yeah. Detroit's not going to allow Dylan Larkin to go for a song and a dance. All right.
Good point.
Just had one text say, hey, is this Jets at noon or the NHL at noon?
We're getting to the Jets.
Just be a little bit patient.
Thoughts.
Yes. So even with my rural BC one-room school math, I can count that we've gone 4 teams deep in the Central Division without naming the Winnipeg Jets. Do we have to go 5 or 6 teams deep, in your opinion?
No, I was looking at the sportsbook odds, which I know some people like, some people don't. But
what do you feel, Ross? Never mind the sportsbook odds.
I think they're pretty accurate. Like, they've got Winnipeg as the 5th team in the division in terms of playoff odds, and I think that's fair. But in November, they could be easily a lot higher. Like, I think that there's a lot of noise around the league about Winnipeg because of the uncertainty of the Connor Hellebuck situation.
Right. Yeah.
But they have talent. That's like they have. You go through the checklist to win a Stanley Cup. Elite number one center. You have it. Mark Scheifele had 100 points last year. You go through it. You need an elite winger, Kyle Connor. You need a number one defense that can play 30 minutes on any given night, Josh Morrissey. And they've got, right now, a Vezina, Hart, gold medal winning goalie. Like,
yeah, those are 4 pretty significant pieces.
not many teams can say they have all of those.
And all 4 of those players, well, Hellebuck had a bit of an off year. It was going to be impossible for him to match what he did in 24-25. But he still gives you good to great net minding on a nightly basis. And so from that perspective, the Winnipeg Jets have 4 pieces that Colorado does not quite have that because of their goaltending. They certainly have it up front. And on the blue line, Dallas, I guess, would be the closest to that with what they have. And then Minnesota does not have that number one setter. So, Utah, they might get that eventually between the pipes, but not right now.
No.
And so that's where I think it's important to not get your vision too clouded over what happened in 25-26, looking ahead to 26-27.
Yeah, definitely. And
because those players all were at the top of their games and are close to it. And I would think that they're capable of doing that again in the coming season.
For sure. For me, the big thing day one of training camp is where is Viggo Bjork? And he's going to have the prospect showdown before that to show that he can dominate against the younger prospects that are all going to, that's going to be a really competitive tournament. It always is, because those guys want to make a name for themselves, especially with less preseason games. They're not going to potentially get as much of an impact. Bjork, I think, will, but for the most part, that's just the intensity that this tournament will have. So where's Viggo Bjork? And are Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele attached at the hip day one of camp? Those are questions I want to see answered, but I really thought they nailed it with the Mario Ferraro signing. Didn't overpay him. And he is going to be a character fan favorite who can shut down opponents and do it differently than Logan Stanley did, but the same type of role.
Yeah. He fits the ID of the hockey club that is based on a defense-first philosophy. And that's where I think Mario Ferraro will really stand out. Before we have to go to break here, and just a reminder, and it's a short week because of the Monday holiday. So not that we want to put pressure on for the Boston Pizza Hotline call of the week, but 204-780-6800. Come up with a great take, and you could win yourself a $50 Boston Pizza gift certificate. And you could come in for lunch every weekday, get a delicious main, a side, and a nice cold drink for only $15, only at BP. So Ross the Boss, just before we go to break, Mark wants to know, which current Jets player do you think is most likely to have a breakout season, and what part of their game do you expect to improve the most?
I love that question, and my heart is saying Viggo Bjork because I'm so high on this kid, but I'm going to go with someone who's already played in the NHL. And I think we saw last year kind of a dip, not because he's going downhill, but because he lost a guy who really helped him. And that's Cole Perfetti without Nikolai Ehlers. And
You're going to get "What Are You on Crack" from a texter here in a moment.
For what? Saying Cole Perfetti?
Yeah.
No, I think he can be 52 to 58 points. Yeah. I think that would be a breakout because he was like 29 last year.
So you guys on crack?
No, sir, not today.
I can vouch for Ross. He is clear and free of all substances for today.
Unless sleep is a substance.
Yeah, well, yes, it is. By the way, belated congratulations on the arrival of daughter number 2.
Thank you.
Just real quick here, I think Isaac Rosean is a guy well and it's because of his speed, Mark. I think he'll have more confidence coming in from the get-go, having a training camp and a preseason to get acclimated to things as opposed to getting thrown right into the fire. And I just, that shot, if he is, and I wonder if Scott Arniel and the coaching staff will take a look at him in a top 6 scenario, and maybe even just, you know what, for poops and giggles, let's just see how you look with Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that at all.
No. Okay, we will come back in just a moment with more Jets at Noon.
Jets at Noon on 680 CJOB.
Now here's one more item from the 1225 Sports.
Whoa.
Happy birthday to you.
Not to Maurice Richard or Barack Obama?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Ross the Boss Man. You don't look like a day over 32.
Ooh, I am a few days over 32.
Yeah, you've got a couple of days on that. But happy birthday, buddy. Working on your special day.
Oh, happy to.
Yeah.
Great, man.
Far more creative than that, that song you just heard as we welcome you back to Jets at Noon is our text of the day for a VIP GC from Wash Method Car Wash at 690 St. Anne's Road, or you can also find them online at washmethod.com. I like this one. It's from David. I asked a Spanish lady I know and asked her if we were going to win the Stanley Cup this year. You know what she said, Roscoe?
Yes.
What did she? No, she said not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Soon?
I hope so.
Oh, that parade would be awesome.
Maybe it'll be in June of next year. David, a little bit of levity to the situation on Levitan's birthday. We certainly love it. Come back with more of your texts, and we will continue to look at the NHL Central Division here on Jets at Noon. Kelly Moore and the birthday boy, Ross the Boss Levitan with Jets at Noon, coming to you live from the Boston Pizza Studio for gourmet pizza and pasta. Bring the team to Boston Pizza. And a guy that we certainly pay a lot of attention to leading up to, during, and even in the aftermath of the draft, Scott Wheeler of The Athletic.
Good friend of mine.
Posting just moments ago. Yeah, he speaks very highly of you.
I bet.
Scott Wheeler saying Breck Liskey, of course, the second most famous player out of Beausejour, behind only Shady Brady and the Beausejour bass band, the Buskers. But Breck Liskey coming out of the World Junior Summer Showcase, looking at 4 NCAA schools. I would presume this would be for 27-28. It would be too late to be committing to a school for the coming season. But Boston College, Boston University, Western Michigan, and Wisconsin. And of course, Breck helped the Everett Silvertips win their first ever Western Hockey League championship. Then he was drafted in the second round by Philadelphia. And, of course, he has grown up a Philadelphia Flyers fan basically since he came out of the womb.
Super fan if you see his dad's car.
Yes.
Come on.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Easy guy to root for. You look at the interviews and everything that he does, like just very happy-go-lucky guy, obviously in a great situation there in Everett. Got to play a lot with Landon DuPont, who's projected to be the first overall pick in next year's NHL draft, and made the most of it. What a playoff for him. And, if he's carrying... I don't want to talk about the World Junior Summer Showcase, though. Canada did not have a good showing as a team. But, hey, it's summer hockey, right?
I was just going to say, yeah. Will anybody remember that when the actual team is picked in December?
No.
Yeah, probably not.
Can't you flush that?
Although if Canada has an oopsie moment in Red Deer in Calgary this year, is it Red Deer in Edmonton? Yeah. Then perhaps, the summer showcase, we saw this, we saw that.
Yeah, all the weaknesses came to life. No, they should have a really good team, and Breck Liskey's gonna do his best to make that team. It's always tough for the guys who are D-1, or I shouldn't say D-1 because that's draft -1, but like underager for the tournament. Like he'll be eligible this year and next year. There's some high picks, right?
Yeah.
You look at Rudolph, Verhoff, Karls, all top 10 picks, all defensemen. So it'll be a tough task for him to make the team this year, but going in the right direction.
Which speaks volumes about Karls and Verhoff playing on the team a year ago.
Yeah, they're projected to be the top pair. Yes. I was looking at Scott Wheeler did after the summer showcase what he thought the team would look like. Top pair, 2 18-year-olds.
All right, we are continuing our look at the Central Division, but listener interaction always takes precedence over the topic of the day. So Scott in Minnesota.
Scott Wheeler?
Scott in Minnesota. Scott Wheeler, do you want to say hi to Ross Levitan? Anyway,
miss you.
And it's interesting because we talk about this with Shady Brady Owasco on the podcast exclusive today. The free agents, the unrestricted free agents who are still out there, and we each took one of those UFAs and made the bold prediction they'll be signed before the end of August. But
no spoilers, but it's pretty crazy you took Gustav Nyquist.
Why would you do that? Why would you ruin the big surprise?
I know.
I'm taking back singing you happy birthday. I hope everybody blows
Can't
out the
do
candles
that.
before you even get a shot at it.
Can't do that.
Scott wants to know, any news where Logan Stanley will likely land? I hope he gets his money. You know what, Scott? I agree with you there. I really like Logan Stanley. I think he's a great young man. He, Lord knows he's had to overcome a lot of adversity, but he did not do himself any favors in the run-up to the playoffs and then during the playoffs themselves with the Buffalo Sabres. And that's why he is where he is right now, waiting for a deal he thinks he has earned to come along. And we can only spitball here because we haven't heard hide nor hair from Logan Stanley. And teams aren't standing up and saying, yeah, we're passing on Logan Stanley because... But it's been crickets. And the fact that we're into early August, Ross, doesn't bode well for the Stanimal to get a deal done anytime soon. I would think he's probably going to have to wait now till late August, early September.
Yeah, which is interesting when you look at the season that he had. 9 goals, career high. I think he had 28, 29 points. And that was never his calling card. It was always be physical, be mean, be tough to play against. Then he just popped offensively. I think he's signed if he finishes the year in Winnipeg. Like whether it's here or somewhere else.
Right.
That showing in Buffalo just, I think, opened the eyes of a lot of GMs around the league. And it's like, maybe I'll spend my money elsewhere.
Yeah.
People who are not demanding as much. And it's interesting. There's still some teams with some cap space, though.
There's no doubt about that. Now, I've vented my spleen many a time, so I'm not going to bore the listeners with what I think of it. But we get asked all the time, Ross, about Logan Stanley and the Winnipeg Jets 2026-27. Is there a fit there?
No, there can't be. Like once Mario Ferraro signed, the fit was gone. If anything, you'd be looking at the right side, and that would be with the caution of like you probably want Salamonson there, but he's injured right now.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to start there.
Which is so tough. Like he goes down just to get some extra games at the end of the year in Manitoba.
But do you want Dylan DeMello or do you want Logan Stanley playing on his offside with Josh Morrissey to start the year, or even if they decide to go back to Morrissey and Pionk?
Hey, I don't know if it's because I'm a year older, but I'm old school like that. I like lefties on the left, righties on the right. I'm like pretty stern on that. You have to be special to play your offside for me. I just think with getting the puck around the boards, getting it out defensively, all that takes precedent over a little bit better of a one-timer.
So in answer to your text, Scott in Minnesota,
I'll call my shot. The Detroit Red Wings will sign him.
Oh, you're gonna. Oh, okay. What makes you think the Detroit Red Wings will be the team that'll eventually come around?
So they already have $19.5 million in cap space. If they move Larkin, they're obviously going to have to take money back in that deal. But they've got the most cap space right now in the NHL. And if you look at the left side of their D-core, they've got a great number one, Simon Edvinsson. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of Ben Sherratt. Some people like him, some people don't. I know he's a former Jet, but at this point in his career, he's to me a bottom pair guy. Albert Johansson, I think they had high hopes for him. He hasn't shown a whole lot for me, at least. And I think that there could be a fit where you could even push Sherratt down to the third pair. And if Stanley impresses, I think the yin-yang with a guy like Justin Falk, who'd be playing likely on the right side, could work.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I didn't mind Albert Johansson, the brief look that I had of him during the 2 games against the Manitoba Moose in the Calder Cup playoffs. But again, there is
a little different,
a significant difference, right?
And not only that, they're in the Atlantic Division, which is going to be a bloodbath. Oh. Like, just look what Florida's building. Ottawa's always been a pesky team. Like, in terms of, like, mean.
Yeah, the Central, really, other than the Pacific, Ross, is there a division that isn't a dogfight and a bloodbath?
The Pacific.
Your terminology. But the Metro is hard as hell.
No, but I mean bloodbath in terms of like the violence.
Oh,
like I think it's going to be the most violent division.
Okay,
for sure. Tampa.
Where does Montreal fit into that? I mean, they've got Xhekaj, but
but they're probably the outlier. Also, this Jaden Struble guy loves to get down and dirty. Josh Anderson can play that way. Like they didn't let Tampa. Like their stars don't touch that at all. But down the lineup, they've got some guys who aren't afraid to get in the mix.
We'll come back to the Atlantic Division a little later on in the summer. But so let's continue on now. So we were able to get 5 teams deep. Looking at, and I don't want to misquote you, Ross, but I have the feeling Colorado, Dallas, then flip a coin between Minnesota and Utah, but probably Minnesota, and you think that the Wild could even wind up as high as second place?
Yeah.
I disagree only from the fact that, boy, if Joel Eriksson Ek gets hurt again, boy, Minnesota is so compromised down the middle.
They are.
They just don't have that depth that the other teams have.
And they don't have money anymore either. They're at like $1 million in cap space.
Exactly.
So they couldn't mid-season fix their problem in a hurry without making it really complicated.
Yeah, I like Utah.
I love Utah. Like if I wanted to be a hot take artist,
in the division.
Yeah, if I want to be a hot take artist, I'd say Utah second. Like I like them that much, but you can't. Just with what Minnesota and Dallas showed, you can't do that right now.
Yeah, and you still have to wonder, is Karl Bamalka the real deal? He is on that precipice, but he hasn't been able to quite push it over, push the rock to the top of the hill. And will Sebastian Cossa be a legitimate backup?
That's
so there are some question marks there for Utah.
Yep.
We have the Winnipeg Jets in 5th place. Competing for a wild card, I would think, as the 5th place team in the Central Division. But how clear are they of Nashville and the St. Louis Blues in particular?
So St. Louis, I just need to see, they made so many changes this offseason, and I think if you talk to their management group, they would tell you that they retooled, didn't rebuild, right? They moved away from Jordan Kyrou. They end up bringing in Mason McTavish and giving away a lot of draft capital to do that. McTavish could be hit or miss. He could explode with the fresh start, or he could his boots are pretty slow. That's to play center. I'm not sold on that.
Yeah, that was what hurt him in Anaheim. He just wasn't moving quickly enough.
No, he's slow. But
if he's that guy though that played the first year in Anaheim, what always impressed me about Mason McTavish, boss, was young guys. What is one of the things they struggle with the most playing at center in the National Hockey League, and that's at the faceoff dot.
Oh yeah,
McTavish was really good there the first year, but boy, he tumbled big time in that department as well.
Yeah, it was a bad year. He'd be the first to tell you that too. So I'm just kind of sitting on the sidelines for St. Louis. I really liked Connor McMichael 2 years ago. They're betting on bounce backs from guys.
Well, and a guy that doesn't need to bounce back, just keep the needle moving forward, in my opinion, is Jimmy Snuggerud.
Oh, stud. Yeah. And obviously you got a star in Robert Thomas up front. I'm a huge Philip Broberg guy. I think he can be on top
pair. I like Dylan Holloway if he could stay healthy.
Yeah. But what are they doing in net? Do you trust Binnington to bounce back, or is this Joel Hofer's team?
It's Joel Hofer's team. Yeah. And Binnington's a guy that I think could get moved.
Yeah.
If the right deal comes along. But I've got to think that it's Joel Hofer's team now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big opportunity for the Winnipegger.
Yeah. Alan says, good afternoon, gents. Given what this team has to prove, a healthy roster, making a wild card run would be a successful campaign. But once you reach the postseason, regular season slate wipes clean, and anyone can make a run. That's very true, Alan. That's win, and it's just get in and then try to win. And I think the Jets, if they play up to their identity, and if some people can pull their socks up, and then with some of the changes that they have made, and when I talk changes, I'm talking about a full season of Isaac Rosen. I'm talking about a full season of Brad Lambert. But those guys have to show early that they're worthy of that. It won't be like coming in after a trade and, okay, here's 20 games to get yourself acclimated.
Well, I would even put Perfetti in that. It was a bad year for him last year.
It was, yes. But I
and he
also
still got paid. So it's let's go.
Here's the thing, though. In my opinion, Ross, it wasn't a bad season. It was a bad 1/2 to 2/3 of a season. From the post-Olympic break on, I didn't mind the way Cole Perfetti played.
I worry about those players that get hot when it doesn't matter anymore.
No, but Ross, he got hot because his ankle finally felt like it was 100%.
I hope so. So then he'll be ready to go.
It wasn't like he got hot. It just he played at about a 48 to 50 point pace.
Right. So then he played at a 10-point pace before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you could tell that he was hobbled. He could barely, and I mean, he's not the best skater on a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a lot of effect, but it's still a question mark.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not going to argue with you there, but I just think I think that you can't say that he had a bad year just because he had a bad year. There was a fairly extenuating circumstance attached to that.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in him. I think earlier in the show I said he could be a 65-point guy.
Did.
That's almost doubling his career. It is doubling his career high.
You can get away with that.
I was looking at assists. It's still a career high.
Yeah. Did our crack guy say, "What are you smoking crack, Levitan?" And no pushback to Ross the boss.
No, not at all. But I would say, if you're looking at X factors, Perfetti would be the guy. Maybe that's the better way to put it. Where it's if he plays really well, now all of a sudden you have big depth. you can't have a competitive team where you have guys, and Velarde to a lesser extent because he was paired with the guys that were getting all the points, but the drop off between Kyle Connor, second on the team in points, and the guy in fourth having less than 40 points, you need to spread the offense a little
absolutely.
bit better.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
It is going to be, in my opinion, the most interesting
for sure
training camp.
Yeah, well,
the training camp that is going to have more question marks and answers to deal with than in a long, long time in these parts. Come back with a weather update, and then I think Ross and I are agreed on one thing when it comes to the NHL Central Division. Talk about that more on Jets at Noon. Welcome back to the show. Kelly Moore and Ross the Boss. Happy birthday, boy, Levitan. As we want to remind you, if you have a take on the Winnipeg Jets and you can't get in connection with us during the show itself, well, there is one way you can make contact anytime you please, 24/7, and that's the Boston Pizza Hotline at 204-780-6800. And, of course, BP is your place to come in for lunch every weekday and get a delicious main, a side, and an ice cold drink for only $15, only at BP. Stephen texts in Ross and asks, or says, I think Stuart Skinner has bounced this season, or will bounce back this season with a reduced workload where he doesn't have to be the guy and isn't the scapegoat for everything that goes wrong.
Yeah, I think that his introductory press conference was emblematic of the type of guy he is. He's going to bring a fun-loving energy to the rink, and I think that's so important. Not that Eric Comrie didn't, obviously. He was very similar, but I think you ask 10 goalie coaches, they'll tell you Stuart Skinner's the better goalie. So if he gets traded, or then obviously the pressure's on, he'll have to play unless the goalie's coming back. However, I think that he can give you 20 really good starts. There's going to be some bad ones in there, though.
Yeah, there might be a couple. It all depends on how the Jets perform in front of him, quite frankly.
Definitely. But I do feel like in the past, just watching him in Edmonton, this is from afar, so I can't speak to the mentality behind it, but it felt like if he let in one bad goal, another was coming.
Yeah, the team tended to sag right along with him.
Yeah.
And just for a bonus, Stephen throws in honorable mentions for Morgan Barron and Elias Solomonson to be noticeable players this year. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, if Barron could finish, man, he'd be a great player. Like, he can fly.
Keith says, you guys are... No, he didn't say we were on crack, but he says the Jets are third or fourth. That's in his opinion. So,
third, ahead of either Dallas or Minnesota?
Yeah.
I'd love the argument for that.
No kidding. Rick the Stick in Alpharetta, Georgia.
Whoa.
How's things down in Georgia, Rick the Stick? So what if Perfetti gets 50 to 60 points? He won't help in the playoffs. He'll get pushed around and disappear. He did not get pushed around, nor did he disappear against St. Louis or Dallas 2 years ago.
If they've got YouTube in Georgia, type in Manitoba Miracle.
Yeah. I mean, that's just one play, but I'm talking about the series as a whole. The whole body of work.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah. Who do you guys project to be a better player? Braden Yager or Rutger McGroarty?
Oh, damn. This is great. These types of trades, I think you need to give it a little more time.
Yeah, way to go, Alex. Yeah, I like
neither has established themselves yet. McGroarty's obviously had many more games, but he was still kind of up and down with Pittsburgh. They gave him a shot right away to play with Sid.
They did.
And it did not work. Jury's out.
For me, I think eventually Braden Yager's skating is going to be the determining factor.
Yeah? You think he sticks at center?
Yeah, I think he will. Yeah. And I think he's good enough to be a third-line center in the not-too-distant future. But I just think Rutger's skating, at least with where they are right now in their respective careers, Braden Yager because of the skating.
Hey, tie break, always take the center. Yeah. So, I go Yager, but it's close. And it's going to be fun to look back in 5-10 years.
Absolutely.
Those one-for-one prospect trades.
Great question, Alex. Enjoy the rest of your birthday, Ross the Boss.
Going to the grocery store.
We'll reconvene here again tomorrow for Jets at Noon. Jeff Fortier. As always, we thank you for your great work behind the scenes. 1 o'clock news is coming up next. And then I will be in for Jim Toth from 1 to 2. As we always like to say, thank you for making Jets at Noon part of your day.